I'm Old Sneelock. Welcome to another episode of Old Sneelock's Workshop. Now we come to the fiddly little bits of cleaning plane parts. All these tiny pieces. Now the brass ones, I typically put those in a bath of salt and lemon juice. Salt and vinegar works. Salt and lemon juice is the one I use. And all these little steel pieces, I could put them in an electrolysis tank, but that means I have to clip all these little pieces individually to make sure that they have good contact. I've tried using a wire basket and setting them in the wire basket, and it works okay, but it doesn't work really well. I've tried mechanically cleaning them. I've tried all different kinds of ways, and I found vinegar just works. So vinegar has the capacity to wet things down and work on every surface that it touches. It's not line of sight, so I don't have to worry about jumbling it up. I don't have to worry about connections. I just got to make sure the stuff is in there, and I have to stir it every once in a while so that all the surfaces make sure and get wet. If I have a piece that's like this and it's laying down on the surface, then the part that's sitting on the surface doesn't get quite as clean as the rest of it. So I found if I just stir it a little bit every once in a while, that's good enough. Blow the wood shavings out of there. Don't need those. Don't have to worry about cleaning those. They're already going to be gone. Then just a little bit of apple cider vinegar, enough to cover the bottom. And all the parts are immersed. And that's the job. I leave these set for, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours and check them and come back. I don't want to leave them too long in there because acid eats on the threads. It makes the threads smaller. I found that out when I did a saw set and actually reduced the size of one of the screws to the point where the nut no longer fit on it. So don't leave them in there too long. Let them cook. Take the rust off. It won't take long. It works pretty quickly. I can see it bubbling a little bit now. Some of that is just surface air trapped into parts coming off of it, but it does tend to bubble right away if it's working. So I'm just going to leave these sit. Lemon juice and salt works really well on the brass parts. And you notice the size of the container? Yeah, it's tiny. It's because the parts are small. And you don't need to have a huge bath to get them to work. All you got to do is have it exposed to the lemon juice and salt. Take this little bit of salt and vinegar water, put it over onto the derusting station, which is far enough away from most of the tools so that I don't worry about fumes coming over and getting on the rest of the tools. It's only vinegar, very weak acid, but why take a chance? I'm going to have to go to the store and buy another gallon of vinegar. This stuff lasts a long time, and you can actually reuse it several times before it starts getting weak and stops working. But it's really inexpensive, and I try and keep a gallon on hand. This is a really fancy Spartan brand. Cheapest I could find. Works just great. Now since this is a short video, because all I'm doing is little tiny bits of things, I'm going to polish up the wax on this base sole plate. Now some people like to shine this up and go after it with paint and repaint it. I tend to just clean up the sole. I'll go after this and flatten this on the flattening table. But I don't generally paint them. The only one that I've painted is the one that I welded back together again because it looked horrible being totally burnt. I got nothing against painting them. If it's your plane, if you want to paint it, by all means, paint it. I just don't choose to. I think this needs to be shined up a bit. It's going to make the plane look a lot nicer if I remove some of the scratches and the uglies on this thing and shine it up a bit. Now that it's buffed up a little bit, put another coat of wax on it because the work I just did took some of it off. I didn't take all the color off of it, but I just smoothed up the surface. Now shine up the wax, see how that makes a difference right there? That part actually shines now. Paint's still good in here, so I'm not going to monkey with that. I'm just wiping off the dull surface of the wax, bringing out the shine. Getting down in there in the nooks and crannies and shining that up too. I want to polish up the heads on these frog screws too, but they're a little too tiny to grab onto. So I'm going to use this little hand vise, handy device to have. It lets you grip tiny things and gives you a handle to hold on to them. Now you can buy this brand new for about $4. This one's made in Germany. CNC. I want to make sure and get a screwdriver that fits the screws. I set the frog in place. Slip a washer over the screw. Start the screw down and do the same for the other side. Line the frog up until it's flush with the back of the mouth. And this is just a preliminary setting. When I get the blade in there, I will be doing it slightly differently. Now, I haven't cleaned up the blade yet. This is just strictly for testing purposes. And there is a screw that goes in there, so yes, it's missing the screw. Bring the frog back just a little bit. I can see that that's going to have to be quite a ways back in the mouth. Shine that up a bit. Shine up the wax I just put on the blade. Attach the chip breaker. I wonder how close this should be. Usually I set them really close. The edge of the blade is not exactly straight. So we're going to set it about there. That's about 1/16 of an inch back. This side's shorter than that side. The blade wasn't sharpened exactly square. It's close, but it's not exactly square. Got a bit of a camber to it, and that's kind of normal. If you have the edges totally square, it tends to leave tracks, like wagon tracks in the wood as you're planing. Well, the vinegar bath is doing a good job of taking the rust off the bolts. I just have to shine them up a bit with this little fiber wheel. Is clean, the frog is cleaned up, waxed and mounted. The blade cap and lever cap are polished up, waxed and ready to go. If you have any suggestions for a new video, questions about today's video, or any of the other videos on the channel, just drop a note in the comments. You know I read them all. Thanks for watching.